Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest news show in the food department, Eater's Digest, where we're covering trends, industry news, and news you can use in the world of food. I'm going to be presenting this in a sort of wired versus tired format where we're 86ing something and we're firing something. And today, it is a matter of 86ing egg in head and firing in and out. TikTok clout has parents smacking their kids' heads on cam with eggs when the honorable path to clout is just stealing it. This is a trend basically where the idea is that you are getting your child on the cam and they're expecting you to crack an egg into the bowl. However, you crack it on their head. They're usually not very happy. I don't think it's a good thing, and I don't want to spend too much more time talking about it because overall, I think it kind of sucks. But what doesn't suck is stealing clout from a big conglomerate. That's right. In-N-Out may be pursuing litigation against, let me pronounce this again, In-N-Out. Nout? How would you pronounce that in Mexico?
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out. I don't know if I trust this reporting in that it just says, hey, this thing is happening. Nobody commented on it. And also, we don't have any information regarding what happened in the past, regarding past lawsuits. But if anybody can get away with it, it will be a Mexican chain. I don't know if you've been to Mexico, but you'll have like pictures of Tweety Bird painted on a wall that are done in such a way that they're just barely not quite Tweety Bird. And so I think they're masters of getting away with stuff like that. Probably no surprise to anybody who knows how I feel about this sort of stuff. We are 86ing girl dinner and firing white people food. Yum, yum, yum. Girl dinner is a trend that I think went from a cutesy inside joke to brand post fodder pretty quickly and seems to have tanked the vibe in record time. I feel like I've seen a lot of brands participating in girl dinner, and that's never a good sign. What we do like is hashtag white people food. Videos and photographs showing simple meals like these have gone viral on the Chinese internet, accompanied by the playful hashtag white people food, or that in Chinese. Part of the appeal is that white people food is meant to bewilder many people in China with its no frills, no fuss nature. This is still so much more effort than I think most people eating at their desk are willing to put into their meals. They've got some kind of composition here with a sauce, with a garnish, some kind of soft-boiled egg over vegetables. Cut out the sauce, cut out the vegetables, serve it on a plastic plate with rounded square corners. Now you're talking white people food. Could this be our big opportunity to finally understand how, for example, Thai people feel about pad Thai, where it's just like, hey, American, look, this is what you eat, remember? Oh, just whole tomato. Yummy! We are 86ing reservation fees and firing credit card fees. I'll explain in a moment, but first, the reservation fee. I don't know if you've had this experience, but it's all over Las Vegas, especially. A lot of restaurants, especially in hip places, Miami, Austin, probably New York. Resi, what's the other one? Talk. They charge you such high reservation fees, sometimes just to get the reservation, and sometimes if you cancel, you get fined. And the fines are so high. Like, think about the fact that when I go to Las Vegas, the only time I'm making a reservation a month ahead of time is because I need to make sure that I have a table for like 8 people. And 8 people in Las Vegas is a lot of entropy to be introducing to the scenario. So the likelihood that even one of them doesn't show up for whatever reason, they're too hungover, they couldn't make it, they decided they're not hungry, they died, it's pretty high in a Las Vegas vacation. This is why reservation fees, in my mind, are getting 86th. We're firing credit card fees. It might strike you a little weird for me to say that I enjoy a credit card fee. I certainly don't. I would rather have no fees, but in the choice between the two, I will take the credit card fee instead. At least the stakes aren't as high as a reservation fee. We in America have been outsourcing all of the pain and misery of credit card fees onto the merchants for a very long time. In a way, penalizing the unbanked. I've talked about this a little bit, but it's like the people who don't have credit cards, whether they pay with cash or debit, they're subsidizing our credit card rewards points. They, along with the merchants who are paying like at least 3% in transaction fees, are the ones who are allowing us to earn 2% cash back. The margins at a restaurant are like 4%. If you're in e-commerce, you're hoping for like a 20% margin. This is 1/5 of that on a good day. By the way, this is all coming hot off the tails of what is that law? The Credit Card Competition Act in the US. Listen, this is an entertaining stream. I'm not going to read congress.gov at you. But a lot of people in the finance world are a little bit iffy about whether or not credit card points are going to continue existing in the way that they have been for so long. Very scary news for me, who has never used any credit card points in the last 2 years. So I have thousands of them and I don't know what to do with them. I'm certainly not going to go on any trips anytime soon. But the idea is, if you cut down on what kind of fees these credit card companies can charge, then they're not making as much money. They might cut down on the rewards that they're giving a bunch of people. I say that's fine. I don't think that the system that we have in place now warrants these benefits. At most, you're getting like 2% cash back for this ridiculous game that you have to pay attention to. And it would be so much better if we could just remove those extremely high transaction costs and not have to deal with plugging our fingers in all the leaky holes. If you become a hot restaurant that everybody wants to get into, you can choose the path of getting with Resi and Toast and charging 30% minimum tips and doing reservation fees and no-show fees, or could be the type of place where it's just like, hey, you know what? This place is cash only. Ladies and gentlemen, to close it out, we are 86ing GT Dave's and instead firing NA Beers. GT Dave's is under a lot of heat due to worker exploitation. We'll do a couple of little bullet points here. According to court documents, GT Dave's deliberately hired undocumented workers so that they could exploit them. On one hand, it's like, yeah, but who doesn't? Not that I condone it, but I'm just saying there's probably a lot of businesses who do, but it does get much fishier. Plaintiffs testified that the shifts usually began at 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., and any late employees were fired on the spot. Not a good look. One of the former employees, Simon Rojas, told the court that certain areas of the factory were so hot that workers' sweat would fall into the tanks of brewing tea. Anyway, it was really the response that was kind of showing one's ass. Haters are jealous defense. Unfortunately, in this current state of the world we live in, he said, just happen if you have any smell of success around you. That is the cross that I bear. Oh, stinky response. We don't like that. Also, they said something about, maybe it's here in the article, where it was like, by the way, we put a cover on our kombucha, so there's no way that the sweat could get in. It's like, if you know anything about making kombucha, you know that that is not a solid cover. You know that that's like a cloth. So if there's sweat dripping in there, the sweat is in there. I've seen a couple vids with GT Dave, and he has an unsettling energy. Okay, just in case you were thinking that you might want to defend this guy, you really should understand who you're meddling with here. Like, if this guy tells you, get back to work, noticed you were a little late there, sweaty. Get out. He's like the dummy from R.L. Stein's Goosebumps books. This is a villain. There's no way you can tell me that that's not a villainous man. It looks like a televangelist. Yes, exactly. If you just read the labels of his kombucha, it is a little bit evangelical in a way. I love doing ad hominem attacks against a legitimate demon. Anyway, we are not drinking GT Dave's anymore. That's right. We being the kids, I am such a youthful person and I'm a health-focused individual, are drinking non-alcoholic beer. Kids can do it and so can you. Now that non-alcoholic beer is getting more and more palatable, it's gone from something that you wouldn't want to drink for fun, something that we are finally starting to have a couple of debates over regarding, can you drink it in the car? Can you sell it on the streets? Can kids drink it? And it turns out the answer is yes. Lee Goldstein reports. For me, growing up, the number one slower downer of me enjoying alcohol, like I really didn't start drinking until a very late age, was that I just didn't like the way that it tasted. And we had super Southern style neighbors when growing up in El Paso, where they would like proudly give their kids sips of beer in an attempt to sort of like get them to start liking it, to the point where it's just like, hey, you want a little sip of beer? And they're like, yeah, I like it. Because that was like a point of pride culturally, that they enjoyed the taste of beer. So I think you run the risk of doing something similar to that. At the federal level, youths under the age of 21 can slam NA bevs. Yep, even the ones that might contain less than 0.5 ABV. But like one's taste for mayonnaise, go off NOLA, these things vary wildly state by state. This is approaching like AI written essay levels of writing. For the adults in the room, I'm rating this fizzy ass time to be alive a 4.7 out of 5 distressing. This is the segment that's going to close out all of the news. This is news you can use. This is not theory. This is not industry news. This is news for you as a consumer, as a cook, and as a home chef. Are these Instagram famous olive oils any good? We tasted 3 new brands of olive oil to see how they measured up. And if you spend any time on food Instagram, you easily can recognize Grazia and Brightland. So here's ATK's reporting by the god Lisa McManus. Hot new brands have been popping up on social media with plenty of sponsored content. Their eye-catching bottles and cute names like Brightland Awake and Grazia Drizzle shows up on shelves of celebrity chefs. Drama between these two brands was covered in the New York Times and watched like Wimbledon. That must be the, olive oil feud. This week's tiniest social media drama is all about olive oil. Okay, people were paying attention to this more than I expected. The results: tasters rated traditional brands significantly higher than the newer brands. Only Costa Rica got close, tying with one of the traditional brands. So the other two brands didn't taste good. They did enjoy using the soft plastic squeeze bottle that held Grazia drivel, and they also liked the name. The two oils in their line are called Sizzle for cooking and Drizzle for finishing. They like the fact that it lets you know in big text right at eye level which one's used for which. By contrast, the names of Brightland's pair of oils, Awake and Alive, were more aspirational and helpful. We're not on board with their marketing. Executive producer of the North American Olive Oil Association agreed. I find that these brands promoting the idea that theirs is great and everything else is crap or fake, it does a disservice to the whole industry. It makes people feel that if they can't afford a $40 half liter of oil, they had better not buy any olive oil, and nothing can be further from the truth. So now it is time where I get to tell my story, and that is I did advertising for one of these olive oil brands, and you can look it up. I'm not going to name them, but this is one where I have an email where I'm like, hey, I don't know how to handle this, but I just tried it, and I don't like the taste. It's very bitter. It's very strong. It's biting. We did a blind taste test thinking it would be very fun. Bria and I both despised it. We did not like it. And how are we going to move forward with this? Because I had already signed the contract. They sent me the samples and they said, hey, no worries, totally fine. That's actually a good thing. The reason why it tastes like that is because our olive oils have so many more antioxidants than every other olive oil. All those other olive oils are adulterated such that they taste so smooth and normal. Ours have that biting, aggressive flavor that people really like, people really crave, and that's because ours is so much better with none of the adulterants added. So if you go back and look at the ad, I say something like, oh, this is a real kick in the mouth, this olive oil, and I even specifically said, the brand emphasizes that this is because they have so many more antioxidants in their oil. I'm glad that I didn't say this is because they have so many more antioxidants, because it turns out that it's just a statement that they're making online about their olive oils versus everybody else's. But now that enough time has passed that I'm allowed to talk about my experience, not that I've named which olive oil it is, if you ask me, don't buy those brands. The way I see it, it's like, okay, if you want to have a good olive oil where it's just like, I would like to know what it's like to have a good olive oil experience, but I'm still kind of price conscious. The steps that I would take are, step 1, buy extra virgin olive oil. If you're not buying extra virgin, that's like the big step up. Step 2, buy extra virgin olive oil that's all from one country. And then step 3 would be get single origin, single varietal olive oil, like the Arbequina, where it's like, okay, this is a pure expression of one specific oil. And maybe I don't like this varietal, but maybe I'll be able to try a couple different types of varietals and get a sense of what I do like. And maybe I end up liking blends, both in varietals and source countries. But I think once you do all those things, you at least have some sense of, I've explored the world of olive oil. I develop a sense of taste, a sense of identity of who I am and what I like. That's a good path to go on. And I think by the time you've completed that path, you know where to go next. Anyway, that's been my first attempt at Eater's Digest. Surely there's no way I'm still here next week, right?